We're delighted to welcome Oscar Redrop back into the studio and Paula London as they review stories in the papers. Taking up a bit of space, Paula, is Elon Musk, and he's got himself a job under Donald Trump.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk. A lot of people know that. And I think it's fantastic news. It would have been terrible for him. He would have been finished if Trump lost, though, because a lot of countries are now, the governments are wanting to censor Twitter. So, yeah, I think it's great. And I feel like there's a new energy in the country now, because since Trump has won, I feel like it's going to help, obviously, the whole of the world, because obviously Trump is now the leader of the first world. And I do think it's quite worrying about NATO, though, because they are now almost not threatening, but J.D. Vance has said that if countries in Europe keep threatening to censor Twitter, they'll pull out of NATO. So that is quite scary, but that might be the thing that he needs to do.
Oscar, what do you think about Musk? I mean, he's not going to be answerable to the Senate. He's able to slash regulations which will benefit his private business hugely. He donated an inordinate sum of money to get this access to power. You know, there are some sort of unsavoury smells coming out of that, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a genius. I think that's, an objective fact. I think he's played an absolute kind of strategic blinder in backing Trump like he did. The jury's very much out. I think it's a temporary 18-month deal they've struck.
Can do a lot in 18 months,
He could do a lot in 18 months. In principle, I really support the idea of cutting waste, just generally speaking, particularly in that country. People feel like they have not been served by politicians. I'm sure a lot of people in this country feel the same as well. Get rid of the bloat. I just have a feeling it will end in tears. I really do. I really strongly do.
I just look at it and I think, how does he have time to make electric cars and
fly to Mars,
run Twitter, and what does he do?
SpaceX.
SpaceX, yeah.
Tesla.
Yeah. It just strikes me as, what seriously could you get involved in any depth?
I really hope it works. And there's like a really I like the rock and roll aspect of like, we're going to get in, we're going to drain the swamp, we're going to change things. And then often actually like reality hits, and actually you can't just throw things in the bin.
You see,
you can't just, smash buildings
however
down,
odd Donald Trump may be, there is no doubt about it. Elon Musk, you say he's a genius. He may well be, but he's odd. I don't think you could spend.
He's eccentric, yeah. A lot of geniuses are.
Yeah, you kind of sold him to me a little bit in the green room, I have to say.
Yeah, I think what's very interesting, a lot of people are forgetting that the reason he's so passionate about this sort of right-wing cause, as it were, is because of his son. He thinks he lost his son to wokeness, and that's why he wants to make change for the good. Right. That's why he's so passionate. It's not about the money.
Hasn't he named his son
Well, he has many children. I think he has 8
with
something.
numbers. Right?
Yes,
yeah.
As I say, he's very eccentric, but I think he's autistic as well.
Yeah, that we know of.
Yeah, a lot of very bright people are autistic, or, they're just a little different. But I find difference interesting. For me, he's a genius, and he doesn't sleep a lot. He has, obviously, a great team, but he has intrinsic satisfaction because he feels like his son was lost to wokeness.
Yeah, but, you've got somebody, as you're alluding to, quite thin-skinned, the president-elect, who, famously falls out with people. You've got someone who's eccentric, who's already had a complete volte-face in terms of his policies. Will these two be able to work together and stay friends? I don't know. People are saying the same about RFK, a big sort of loose cannon, if you like, wild card. Lots of great reforming policies from both of those candidates. But can they stay friendly with such a volatile, sensitive person as Trump? Let's see. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
They have the same aim. I think J.D. Vance is fantastic. So, our equivalent is Andrew Rayner here, and they couldn't be more different. He's a very, very strong man, and what he says he's going to do, he'll do.
OK. Let's talk about what we talk about here, Oscar. Telegraph writer in hate crime inquiry.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, the two stories, when you put them alongside each other in terms of Elon Musk's kind of, drive for freedom of expression and free speech. And actually, in this country, when you look at this story, so Alison Pearson had 2 police officers call at home on Remembrance Sunday to tell her they were very vague, telling her she was being investigated over social media posts from over a year ago. They wouldn't go into any specifics. Yeah. Look, without knowing the specifics, there is something terrifying about that. I'm not doing the whole Starmer bashing for the sake of it. He's got some things right as Prime Minister. But this clampdown on people writing things online where they can actually have police arrive at their door and, in some cases, have received prison sentences or in prison as we speak, That's wrong. That is wrong. And I don't want to live in a country where... And, you know, the creep, the kind of the mission creep of that is really scary. If we're here now...
I understand the principle of not wanting to police tweets over the streets. You know, quite clearly there are not enough policing of the streets is going on.
Yeah.
But at what point does the line get crossed? If somebody has allegedly incited racial violence, is that a free pass? Are you allowed to do that on social media?
I don't think that should be a free pass, but I think I feel prison sentences pretty uncomfortable. That sits uncomfortably with me, and I agree that line is difficult to draw at times. But it's just from a political perspective. If I was like advising Starmer on this, I'd say this is not popular because actually regular people, where they don't care where you draw that line necessarily, or they do care where you draw that line, but they want police officers on the street policing real danger and crimes, not this.
Can I also say, if it was that bad, it would have been flagged up a year ago, because people search my tweets trying to find bad things, and I'm pretty careful what I tweet. But if it was that bad, it would have been highlighted then, because people do search her tweets. You know, Alison, I've met her myself. And if that tweet was as bad as the police are alleging, it would have been removed and people would have searched for it. But I just don't think it's fair, because the people on the left, journalists, they say some heinous stuff and they don't seem to be held accountable.
OK. Should we talk about Gordon Brown? He's been talking about this child benefit cap and he's, given speeches about it and feels very, very strongly about it. He says there's twice as many children living in poverty as pensioners in this country, Paula. It's made the front of the Eye, but pretty much that's the only paper taking this up, because everything else being dominated by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Yeah,
maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I just don't think you should have child upon child if you can't afford it. And I believe anyone in a committed relationship should be able to have one child, definitely. Or maybe even two, but one, definitely. But they want over two. I mean, I just think that's insane. If you're not working, why do you expect taxpayers to pay for one, two, not just two, 3, 4, 5, 6?
You've taken the words out of my mouth, and I just think this is really...
It's not a radical thing, yeah.
If you can't afford them, what normal person would have them? Now, Isabel tends not to agree with me on this, but I just don't think the state should be paying for children.
But it's not paying for children, is it? It's just...
Well, it's aiding. It's giving them money. Taxpayers are paying. And let's not forget, 1 in 3 children are now born to mothers not born in the UK. And we've got ever-growing benefit bill.
30% of children born in this country, their parents were not born in the UK.
But we have a fertility problem, don't we?
I know, but we don't want people to think, oh, let's just go to England. We can go there, have as many kids as we like for free, come over in a dinghy, stay here, and then I've got the right
to remain.
Charge
it all to the NHS.
Yeah, everything done. And then taxpayers, markets like us will just pay.
The politics of it is interesting, though, because unless it's like a pre-arranged, and this does happen often, a pre-arranged moment of confrontation and intervention from Gordon Brown, where actually that's interesting in itself, because that suggests that maybe Starmer and his team are willing to find a compromise or give up a bit of ground on this issue. But it's very rare that Gordon Brown kind of makes a campaigning moment. And that will cause... obviously, this is an issue that, amongst the backbenchers, is difficult for Starmer.
I think, I might be wrong, I have a feeling Nigel Farage and Gordon Brown are on the same page on this issue, which might surprise people. I might be wrong.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
So just be clear, what does Brown want? What's he looking for?
He's basically saying that this cap on the child benefit... is heinous and basically hurts children and is leaving all these children in poverty.
What does hurt children?
Cycle of problems
it's having multiple children without working. It's not just the money. It's not very good role models, is it, having parents that are not working? They probably won't work, and then there's more children not working.
Well, there we go.
I mean, so the whole country's under stress and strain, the resources, the roads, the hospitals, the schools, whatever. And then we have industry saying, oh, the population isn't big enough, we need people to fill jobs, until they get robots, that is, and they won't care.
That's if they're going to work, anyway, so, yeah.
It's very confusing. Why do we need more people?
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to a very, very impressive Indian businesswoman who wanted to start a new business in this country. And the budget has genuinely called that into question for her. And, there is so much, as she put it, there is so much talent that is not utilised in this country, because people... And again, it's interesting when you get an external perspective. We're quite soft in this country. People don't work hard in this country, generally speaking, was the perspective. People aren't... We're often not particularly driven sometimes.
We're not like Japan. I mean, people sleep in offices there and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Ageing population, though, like in Japan.
Right, Justin Welby, what do you make of what you've seen there? And should he be held responsible? A lot of people say, well, it had nothing to do with him, whatever. I would say, au contraire, if he didn't act upon this, I think he's guilty and he should take responsibility and resign.
yeah, I'm actually very upset because I'm a Christian and I obviously hold bishops and priests to a much higher standard. But it's happened before. I'm very upset by it, but I thought he should face the force of the law, to be honest with you, because I don't know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, if he has assisted an offender and perverted the course of justice, you know, those are criminal offences. So
Well, hang on, there's no suggestion.
No,
that
if.
he- yeah,
No,
let-
if.
let- well, yeah.
No, but
yeah,
directly or
it's covered
indirectly.
up. It was covered up, and 130 boys were involved.
I think there are some questions about where this police investigation is at. You know, nobody's talking about why this guy was able to leave the country, why there was no investigation. As Justin Welby said, the matter had been referred to the police. That had also been referred then to Hampshire Police, where the abuse happened. You know, where are the police today? Why aren't we hearing from
Well, if
them?
you report something to the police, they will give you a follow-up to what happened. So if they didn't give him a follow-up or said it was closed, you should have wondered why if you knew a lot of information.
I agree. You know, we can get invested in the sometimes the more interesting kind of personalities involved in these things, but the police, it just becomes like instantly that's a police matter, criminal investigation. I think often with these things, people try and I think him holding out a little bit.
That undid his dignity
you don't
a bit.
quite get the moral stand high ground on that front. It should have happened quicker, that resignation.
Looking ahead to Christmas, and a lot of people are organising carol concerts, myself included. If you want to help,
Go on, give it a little puff. You want to need some more people to come. Go on.
We do. We need
Go on.
just look up the K9 website where we're and the little doggies
Oh, it's
come
a dog
along to the
charity.
carol concerts. So they do. They'll come along to the church.
How festive.
Yeah.
They can go and admire the crib.
And yes, they can do and have a wee in the straw
Oh,
or
stop.
whatever.
You always ruin it.
So anyway, the Princess of Wales, good to see. She's got her carol concert back on this year. Oscar, what have you got to tell us about that?
Well, yeah, so on the 6th of December, big Christmas concert at Westminster Abbey. It will specialise the service in reflecting on the importance of love and empathy. I think this will be quite, relatively quite a big moment. I think, obviously, the year or so that the Princess of Wales has had and what she means to people in this country, I think this could be a real kind of royal moment, actually.
It's been an annus horribilis, hasn't it, for the royal family? If you think the King's had cancer, the Princess of Wales had cancer, the Queen's recently had a chest infection, all the drama with Harry, all the drama with Andrew.
It's like a soap opera.
It is, and William has said it's been the worst year of his life, and that's something to say, given that he lost his mum in a horrific car crash
Really
as a child.
yeah.
That is a big thing to say. Will this be able to draw a line under it? I hope so, and I hope people are kind towards her, because some people were not so kind. over the
Yes,
weekend.
don't we know? Yes.
Yeah, crazy. And actually, sometimes you don't realise what you have until it's like, and the absence of her in public life. I think when it slowly, gradually returns, I think people will kind of, really feel that benefit and go, she's back. And actually, this is what we love about her in this country.
And people forget the
Take it for
King's the
granted.
titular head of the Church of England, so it's good that we're celebrating a Christian holiday as well, because quite a lot of Christmas events have been cancelled.
Guys, just got to leave it there. We've got to go to the break.